Journey into the Upper Seymour. The Upper Seymour River Provincial Park protects both an extremely rare and unique interior cedar hemlock rainforest and a narrow strip of the river valley that includes biologically rich wetlands. It is located approximately 40 kilometers north of the village of Seymour Arm on Shuswap Lake. The local conservation community first became aware of the important values in this valley in the early 1990s after a visit there with a government ecologist. During the next visit, we measured what could be the largest tree, the 3.65 meter diameter Seymour giant. Logging was quickly moving up the valley, and thus we fought hard for interim protection. This photo was presented to the Regional Forest Service manager during a meeting, who later issued a logging moratorium. Over the next 6 years, we visited the Upper Seymour many times to document its values and marvel at its wonders. One key visit was with famous British Columbia conservationist Vicky Husband. A video was then produced to further increase public awareness and support. After 4 years of land use planning, including tense negotiations with the forest industry, the 10,672 hectare park was created in 2001. Since then, we have wanted to return to the park in order to canoe on the river and visit the old-growth forest. Finally, in September of this year, we made the trip up to the valley with canoes and mountain bikes. Our first challenge was to find a suitable spot to launch the canoes that was reasonably close to the road. We had to lower the canoes down a steep hillside at 48 kilometers and cut a short trail through the thick brush to the river. We then parked at 51 kilometers where an overgrown road branches off into the old-growth forest. It only took us 45 minutes to bike up the road through the steep clear cuts until we reached the ancient forest. It was an enjoyable ride, but we kept close and made plenty of noise as we were in grizzly country. We arrived at the old unused landing to find the Seymour giant still reasonably healthy. After all these years, it was wonderful to be back here again to marvel at the immense tree and the surrounding ancient forest. Our hike through the massive forest in the shoulder-high ferns to the river and back was both magical and awe-inspiring. The next morning, we arrived at the put-in spot along the cold, misty river at 8 a.m. to get an early start, as we had no idea how long it would take to paddle to our takeout at 34 kilometers. There were small but shallow rapids during the first few kilometers, which made for an exciting paddle. Occasionally, we would round a turn to be met by a sweeper across the river, and thus we had to do short portages. It was a magnificent experience with astounding views of the mountains and wetlands and signs of wildlife along the shoreline. The farther south we paddled, the deeper the water became. Inside the oxbows were picturesque marshes and numerous beaver lodges. At the last oxbow, there's a small lake that we paddled into, which was exquisitely serene. After just 5 hours on the river, we reached the takeout just upstream from a dilapidated bridge that will soon be removed. We were elated to find that the portage trail to our vehicles went through another old-growth forest. It was a fabulous journey, and we eagerly look forward to the day we can return.